Stupid for the 1st of September 2024. It's been a long week, and it's also been a long time since I had Oris here. Welcome back, my friend.
Hello, V, and hello, chat. It's been a while.
We're actually getting less numbers than Dustboard right now. For some reason, I don't think YouTube has sent the notification that we're live streaming.
Not yet.
Have you looked at Dustboard? It's an amazing game.
Yes, I have. It is incredible in a lot of ways. Not all of them good.
How much money would it require for you to live stream it?
100K.
Get the fuck out there. No.
I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. Pay me 100K, I'd live stream a full 8 hours of it.
Jesus Christ, man. You need to lower the expectation. The market forces aren't what you're asking right now.
No. You don't understand, V. You don't understand. 100K is what I would want to play that nonsense, right? Because otherwise, I could spend that time playing RimWorld, right?
So you're telling me that for 50K you wouldn't play Dustboard?
For 50K, 8 hours solid streaming, like a full shift streaming? No, I wouldn't. Not for 50K.
But you can't do it in increments. Like you can play it 1 hour today and 1 hour tomorrow. You don't have to do the whole thing. Yeah, you don't.
No, I'd rather rip the Band-Aid off, and 50K ain't enough for that. No way.
I see. Chat, I would play it for $300.
$300.
$300. I would play. I have played worse games. It's fine.
Oh man, you need more self-respect, V. What the fuck?
I have played Life is Strange. I have been in the trenches. I have experienced.
I have been in the mithril mines.
I have experienced the shit. Oh, look, people in the chat are saying that 100K Canadian dollars is actually nothing, though. So.
Yeah, truly. It is. Fuck, you can't even fucking get a down payment for. Oh yeah, you could, but I'm exaggerating. 100K doesn't go far anymore, man.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to think what was the worst game that I have ever played. And The Last of Us in the beginning is just like drool coming out of your mouth. But Life is Strange, the third one, I would have to say it is the worst game that I have ever touched in my entire existence.
Holy shit.
Can you think of a worse one, though? Can you think like something worse than Life is Strange?
Well, I haven't seen it end to end because I couldn't fucking tolerate it. So you tell me about it and I'll try to rate.
It's kind of like you get a leftist from California, and you ask him, show me what a right-wing town looks like. You know? And then
Let's try that in this town style bullshit or what?
Yeah, no, it's kind of like if you know, like the English can't draw a line on their flag properly, and that's because you would have the authors read about the flag, read about how a line looks like, but they would never actually see a line in real life. So they had to do their best using their imagination.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that. Like you have people that are in a bubble and they have no idea what right wingers are like, and now they have to write a story that takes place in a small mining town.
Yeah, so they all fucking wind up as caricatures.
Yes.
That's just excellent.
Anyway, right, let's get into the week is stupid. So, should we start with the transgenders? No, actually, let's wait for more people to join before we bring the creme de la creme.
Save the spicy dish for later on in the meal.
Yeah. We actually have a case. You know, we can talk about a little bit of transgender stuff. Apparently, in Germany, a person got fined for misgendering a politician. They tried to gender them, but the gender missed. And now they have to pay, let me check how much. I think it was like $6,000 or so. 6,000 euros, my bad.
Are these the guys that had to take down their tweet or something like that?
Yeah. So, German court forces podcasters to delete episode where they refer to bolding trans-identified male as he, him. A podcast episode...
Man.
Yeah, according to the press. A podcast episode of Haas and Huff has to be deleted by court order because the moderator called the trans-identified man a man and used male pronouns to refer to him. The podcaster may be facing potential prison time or a fine up to 250,000 euros.
God damn.
The controversial...
All for something that can happen on the fly.
I haven't seen the podcast. I don't know if they had hatred in their hearts, or were they just careless? Either way, it is inexcusable. How can you do something like this?
Well, I mean, for 250K, that's a hell of a fine for anyone who isn't filthy rich.
To be fair, it's up to, right? So, like, that's what the law says. Holstein, with the support of the Federal Anti-Discrimination Agency, has been pursuing legal action against the female-only gym in Bavaria. But the Frankfurt am Main Regional Court has now stopped in order to the censorship of the Haus and Hof episode related to Holstein. The hosts Kiarash Hosseinpour and Philip Hoff have also been prohibited from referring to Holstein as a man and using male pronouns for him.
Wow.
Let me show you the individual in question so that you know who we are talking about. This lovely lady has been aggrieved, and the German courts have found that the people responsible have to pay damages.
Okay, well, I will say, picture-wise, I can understand why, like, if there was no hatred in their heart, as like to say,
yes,
I can say, honest mistake.
Yes,
I mean,
but honest but inexcusable.
I can see where the mistake could happen. Yeah,
honest but inexcusable. Yes,
according to their laws.
Yes, apparently
their laws are extremely clear about this.
Yeah, so the thing that is happening in Germany right now, like last week, there have been many cases where people are being fined, and in some situations threatened with jail time for slighting the honor of politicians. And it seems to be predominantly the Green Party. So there is this lady, which is a little bit rotund, and someone called her fat. And apparently the equivalent of the German FBI, I don't know how they call it, the Budenweise or some shit. They're now requesting Gab for the personal information of the account that insulted this lady, so that they can start prosecuting.
That's a fucking overreach. Holy shit.
Well, it's not, right? I mean, it kind of is in a way, but I spoke with the...
saying someone is fat? Like, I mean... I could understand asking for something like that if you're saying you're gonna, like, I don't know, like, do something grievous bodily injury to someone, but just because of a...
Yeah, and I saw the picture, like...
You'd hear be shouted across the goddamn parliament floor, like, what the hell?
Again, I'm not going to say he has hatred in his heart, but I did see the picture, and it was in landscape mode, so... My take on this...
that ratio.
Yeah, I was talking with a German subscriber, and he was saying that back in the day... he went to this carnival, and they had like caricatures of Merkel and other politicians. It was kind of like the Donald Trump blimp that was in London, and they couldn't conceive like how is it like to be in China where you can't make fun of German Z. Like that is such a ridiculous place. Like he was so happy to be in Germany because like there they have free speech and freedom of expression, everything that liberal societies have, and to go. Yeah, and to go from that to now, it's like, okay, well, if you call a politician fat, or if you misgender someone, or anything like that, you're getting fined, you're getting potential jail time, and it's like, I mean, what differentiates us from China if this keeps going on, Like, at one point, you're going to reach that place, if this is the trajectory.
Yeah, it depends how deep they dig with the tools that they were given, right? Because it's one thing to give any government power, then it's about how the government uses that power. But if the laws are written the way they are, and then the government decides to use it in a China-like way, well, it's already been codified. All you can do now is try to repeal it, and good luck with that shit with the EU.
Yeah, people were saying that Hungary was supposed to be the dictatorship. It's like, look, Hungary is not necessarily a golden era, but like they at least you can mock politicians there. I haven't heard anyone getting into trouble for making fun of Viktor Orban.
A lot of the people that throw around like terms like dictatorship and all that shit don't realize that dictatorship comes on a spectrum as well, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different flavors of dictatorship, and sometimes, those that are casting those titles don't realize that they're living under one.
Yeah, it's more like in Eastern Europe, there's a problem with corruption, but you don't have issues with free speech. Like, you can talk about it. It's fine. It's just that there's corruption. In Germany... Well, and in most of Western Europe now, it's kind of difficult to have freedom of expression, especially with political opinions and stuff. So last week also in the UK, you have people arrested for posting emojis on Facebook. People
Yeah,
arrested.
that happened a couple of weeks back, right?
Yeah,
All of these people that got like their shit because like someone posted a knife emoji or whatever.
yeah. But it keeps going. So like apparently what's happening, the people that have been convicted, and they got like pretty nasty convictions in my opinion. They got like 2 years, 3 years.
And 3 years hard time.
Yeah,
That destroys your life, man.
yeah. But it's also due to the fact that they admitted guilt. So I think what's happening is that when they get arrested, you know, they're being placed in jail, and they will tell them it's like, look, our prison system is full, and we don't know when your court date comes out. But if you say you're guilty, then we can speed the process. So a lot of people are going to, you know, not lawyer up and just plead guilty, probably not expecting that they're going to get sentences that are this high.
God damn.
So
Like you don't even enter a plea agreement. You just go, yeah, no contest or whatever, just to get past the process and go. Then you think you go home.
yeah, this is what I assume. This is what I assume is happening because I generally don't know. But like, it's interesting that all the people that were convicted so far, they admitted to their guilt. Like there hasn't been a single person that didn't.
Without evidence to prove otherwise, it's usually how it goes. So
Yeah.
anytime there's mass arrests or unpopular political arrests, typically they try to like corner you and try to get you to take a plea bargain.
Yeah. So it is concerning with the erosions of free speech, especially now with Telegram, right? Like the CEO of Telegram got arrested in France. Did you see that?
That's a whole thing all to itself as a Telegram user myself. Like don't like where that's going at all.
I never used Telegram. From what I know, it's like it's something that the Russians and the Ukrainians used a lot. And there's also people from other countries that use it, especially places where you have like authoritarian governments, and you're posting like anti-government stuff.
Well, for anyone who's interested in an end-to-end encryption, it's one of the things you're going to use. But as for why, yeah, there's a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, I don't know how it works, but doesn't WhatsApp also use like end-to-end encryption?
Yeah, not really, but it like that's the reason why Telegram is targeted because it can actually have independent end-to-end. You can use little plugins to snap in your own shit if you're clever enough to do it. WhatsApp though, it all routes through there's a man in the middle server no matter what you do, so the actual amount of security you get there is way lower.
But from my understanding though, they are going after the CEO rather than going after the company itself.
Yeah, that's exactly the part where I'm a little shook about that shit because that represents a real change in I guess you could say the way legislation gets applied to the corporate body, and like that means that they could try to strong arm shit like backdoor to end-to-end encryption, which is really a bad slippery slope.
Right.
The moment that a backdoor like that is allowed, anyone can take advantage of it.
Yeah, so basically, they're accusing him of being complicit into different crimes, including money laundering, scamming, CP, and many others. Basically, like everything that happened on Telegram, he is responsible. He's complicit. That's what they're throwing at him.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because by that logic, I guess like the telephone company should be responsible for like any crime that's committed over the phone. Someone that makes
it's like the idea of going after, say, Smith and Wesson's CEO because a gun was used to commit a crime. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, or you know, going after someone that makes an encryption software, and you know, like it has legit uses. Like you have offices and stuff that uses the software, but you also have criminals. So because you have criminals, like unless the encryption guy gives the keys to the government, then he is liable for any type of crime that is committed using his software.
Yeah, and is it okay if I take a second to address what someone said in your chat?
Go on.
All right, so for lazy one that said end-to-end encryption is when you believe they're not storing the decryption keys. Well, if you're allowing a man in the middle to have a copy of your key, well, that's between you and your digital god. End-to-end encryption means only the end and the source have the keys, not the person in the middle. So all they get is the cipher traffic in between. So unless you give them a copy of the actual key, there's like they would have to figure out a way to reverse cipher it or decrypt it. So if you have proper end-to-end encryption, you've got it set up at the source and destination, not somewhere in between. You don't let a service take control of that shit.
I have no idea what you said, but I trust you. Still,
Yeah, IT shit, don't worry.
yeah, no, still, like, the thing is, like, my parents lived under communism, and you know, the idea of the government bugging your phone or reading your mail and stuff like that was kind of abhorrent.
Privacy is important, man.
Yeah.
Privacy is important.
And the thing is, like, America would pride themselves, not just America, but like Western nations would pride themselves. Like, we don't have to do this here. Like, we can take care of criminals and we can arrest people and we can still have law and order without. Yeah. And in the case of Telegram, my understanding was that if the government came with a court order and said, we found this account, they're money laundering or they're committing crimes, give us the address, Telegram would comply. Right? Yeah. So, like, if they
subpoena, they have to comply. They've already complied in the past. It says so on their EULA thing.
Yeah, but what the government
that was already triggered.
Yeah, but what the government wanted was to have a backdoor and to listen in without court orders. So to be able to, like, constantly monitor communications without actually.
They also wanted accounts. They wanted access to certain accounts without the subpoena, which means they would have not had it reviewed by a judge and so on and so forth, which means due diligence would need to be followed. Basically, they would need to go through the red tape to get the shit they wanted, and they were trying to find a way around it.
Yeah. So that's concerning. The CEO of Rumble also fucked off from France.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so the CEO of Rumble came out and is in support of the Telegram person.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't catch what you said there, but yeah, thank God. I mean, that guy deserves. I mean, I look at it more from a services is good for people, especially if there's elements about that service that exists outside of government control. I like privacy. I like ciphering. I like people being able to communicate privately between each other. Sure, bad people might be able to use it, but the fact that good people can use it, even if bad people also can, is way more important than the bad people abusing it, but that's my opinion.
Well, it's kind of like saying we need to install CCTV cameras on every street corner in order to catch criminals, right? Yeah. So it's like...
I hate that shit.
Yeah. Apparently, the Rumble CEO, Chris Pavlovsky, has left Europe following the arrest of the Telegram CEO by French authorities. Pavlovsky said that French authorities have crossed the red line, and the arrest of Durov has sparked significant backlash from free speech advocates. Prominent figures like Elon Musk and Vitalik Buterin have criticized the arrest, framing it as an attack on freedom of expression in Europe. And the European Union Digital Service Act is under scrutiny for its potential to undermine free speech. So basically, go on.
I think that they're also doing this at the same time that Kim.com got nabbed, and basically his extradition is getting pressured forward. I think they're trying to lean in to the fact that the extradition was allowed, so like now's the time to move.
Yeah, and like I don't
think it's a power play. It's some fucking real bullshit.
Yeah, I think so too, because there's way too many things in motion. We got TikTok, which is now they're attempting to get it banned from the United States. You have the Telegram thing, you have Rumble. And you have with Elon Musk. So like all of this is happening within the same couple of weeks. And it seems that the platforms that aren't complying are being targeted and pressured to comply. And the purpose is the abolition of privacy, is so that governments can have backdoors into all of the social medias and to be able to monitor what people are doing without court orders.
Yeah, they see that, social media being used by the people they don't want as a force multiplier that they can't control. And as we all know, the digital presence has a tactical purpose on the battlefield as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Ukrainian war is definitely something that was mentioned, right? Because the Russians are using Telegram, and I'm pretty sure like the French would love to see what the Russians are talking about.
Definitely.
Yeah. The thing that I found it interesting is that a couple of years ago during COVID, and I know here like we may disagree, but I have never seen censorship as bad on the internet in my entire life. Like you couldn't talk at all about the pandemic. You couldn't talk about the American elections unless you had the right opinion. You couldn't talk about January 6th. You couldn't talk about most of the important topics. Whether or not you agree or not, it's like if you said it, you would get banned. Like, you could have a conversation with your taxi driver or your hairstylist, and it was fine. But if you said it online, you'd get banned. And I think, that is the internet that was very preferable for a lot of governments. But now that you have like the Elon Musk thing, and you have Rumble, and you have Telegram, and you have these other platforms, they don't really like it. They want to go back to that internet.
Well, if you remember, I mean, this is a tale of the before four times, right? Before COVID. Yeah, sorry, I probably already just triggered the fucking system now.
No, it's fine.
Time,
They stopped censoring COVID.
Oh, okay, that's good. All right, but like during that actual uptick, right, when shit was actually getting people in the hospital and all of that, there was a real period of time where even just mentioning that or the vaccines or whatever
Would demonetize? Yeah, it would demonetize your channel.
Yeah, it would demonetize the entire channel.
Yeah,
like,
and there was
some real slap shit, man. Like,
but there was other things. It was yeah. So before COVID, like I remember I was watching it on 4chan when the Wuhan shit happened, and at the time it was the China flu, and yeah. Like I was talking about it, and everyone called you a conspiracy theorist. It's like you're exaggerating, right? Because like no one believed that it's going to come over here, because it was just a thing in China at the time. And the Chinese government was saying that they have it under control and it's fine. And then Trump decided to block the border with China, and the Democrats didn't like it, and they called him a xenophobic piece of shit. And I was like, well, look, if it's transmissible as they claim, like 2 weeks incubation period, asymptomatic spread, if it's like that, then it's going to come here. Like there's no way to prevent it, right?
Well, no, of course not. I mean, just as soon as it hits Hong Kong or Beijing, that's it. It's gonna fly out of there.
And people called me conspiracy theorist, called me crazy, called me an agitator. And then when it happens, I was like, okay, well, it's here, but it's not as bad. Like a lot of these government measures that we have in Europe are a little bit exaggerated, right? Now people were saying I'm not panicking enough.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years of social and economic absolute disaster. Yeah, you're not panicking enough. But we were trying to tell you when this shit was happening that if it's bad enough that China has to say we have it under control, you know that, one, they don't have it under control, and two, it's bad enough for them to make a public statement, which means it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't into the geopolitics of the thing, but it's like, okay, if it's airborne and it's spreading from person to person, and it's in China, there's no fucking way it's going to stay in China.
No way. Any country that has, like, as soon as any sort of endemic, pandemic, whatever demic, it's a hub city. That's fucking it. It's gonna hit other countries, and then from those other countries, like, it's gonna spread everywhere except Madagascar, which will close its fucking borders no matter what. So,
except Madagascar.
So, moving on from there, like, as soon as it hits a hub country, and especially if it starts transmitting in between person and animal, then that bridge is fucking crossed. You just gotta brace for what's coming.
Yeah, I think like if it's a different type of spread, if it's like rabies where it requires a bite or something like that, then you can contain it somehow, right? But if it's airborne, you're fucked. Like there's no containing it.
It's airborne or waterborne.
Or waterborne, yeah.
It's transmissible by contact only. You can kind of do something about it, but yeah, might as well prepare for the war, not the first engagement, right?
Chit Chat Cat. Zuckerberg should get arrested as Meta admitted to catering to extreme leftists on Instagram. Also, I'll be sending you Lizard People V. I don't think that he broke any law though.
Zuckerberg should have went to jail when Cambridge Analytica was found out. That there was already a violation of a number of U.S. laws. He should have went to jail back then.
Yeah, but I like, what was Cambridge Analytica really doing? It was looking at your likes, right? And
it took a bunch of information that Facebook said did not collect, took it all without permission, packaged it, sold it to a third-party company, and then that third-party company packaged it and gave it to like basically weaponized it for all sorts of purposes.
But isn't that being done now though? Not by Cambridge Analytica, but by Facebook itself.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, the EULA has changed, terms and agreements has changed, and legislation has changed since then. But
I see.
Then, that's why it created a big, like, shit show for 3 months. Because back then, it was illegal.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, like, the thing with Facebook, you know, I was looking right now about the TikTok ban. And I was unironically thinking, and I'm curious what you think about my train of thought, right? TikTok comes out, and everyone is like it's Chinese spyware, and I'm like, of course it's Chinese spyware. I mean, it's from fucking
course.
China. It's like duh. But I was against it, because it's like, why would I install Chinese spyware on my PC? It's like they're going to harvest data from me. And now I'm thinking in 2024, okay, if I install Facebook, how is that not Silicon Valley spyware? Like it collects my data.
Oh, it absolutely is.
It harvests,
Is.
right. So let's assume that Zuckerberg just doesn't trade my data to third party. But what if Facebook gets hacked? And then all of my personal information is out there, right?
It already has been.
It already has been, yeah.
It has already been hacked. And remember that there was also a period of time where Facebook was also reading what was called your collateral cookies, or cookies attached to cookies.
I didn't know
Now
that.
browsers compartmentalize that shit. It's a lot harder for big entities and such to do your pixel tracking and shit. But back when the internet was a little bit more Wild West, Facebook collected a lot of stuff about you guys.
So my question now is, as a Romanian, why do I care if I install TikTok, which is the Chinese spyware, or I install Facebook, which is the Silicon Valley spyware?
I would say you would have to take a look at the difference in the TikTok algorithm between TikTok and Douyin. Now, Douyin, which is the Chinese TikTok, the output of the algorithm is extremely different, especially when you consider different age ranges than it is in EU. Basically,
yeah, you have like a lot
West,
of useful videos, right? Like you have
it's different.
How to build a chair, how to learn like how to make money, how to do finances, how to start your own business. That's with Douyin, right?
Content on it, but it's just different in general. The overall temperature. Like whenever you output stuff in an algorithm, you're thinking about content temperature and content engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Engagement keeps eyes on the screen. Temperature controls, you're trying to push the user towards something, and you can have high temperature or low temperature.
Mm-hmm.
You take a look at the West.
LGBT stuff, fat acceptance.
Yeah, and just like even things that seem to push people towards like suicide ideology was the thing that was
don't they ban that? I think they banned that.
They ban it, but it seems to show up on people's feeds unusually high compared to other content. When you scroll enough, right? There's a real difference between the way the algorithm consumes and regurgitates the data to users between the West and their own platform in China. Now,
yeah, there's no way that China is ever going to give the algorithm to the US.
Yeah, but I'd say take a look at it. There's like already people way better than me that have done all this research and shit and have already come up with the proof. But the fact that it comes up with so much retarded shit and was like the cause of like the devious lick shit where like students were going around basically trashing their schools on purpose and all of that shit. When it starts going into that like content leaning,
I mean you did have like the Osama bin Laden email, right? Like that went viral on TikTok.
Yeah, but
like
the email itself is just the mail itself is just the mail itself. But I'm talking.
No. You had people glorifying it.
Each other, man.
No. Listen, you had like people glorifying it, and it went viral on TikTok to the point where the Guardian had to delete their article where they also read the letter and they were saying that, oh well, I can see his point and because America imperialism bad,
I bet you, if we were to look at the Douyin side of that same viral story, I bet you the overall, like, the reporting on it, the message around it would be very, very different.
Probably, but I don't think, like, China cares about 9/11, because it's another country, it's,
No, but I mean, by now, it's more about the continuing message than the actual event.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know, like, I think China does view America as an imperialist nation. I think they wouldn't care that much.
Well, China sees the U.S. as its rival.
Yeah.
Geopolitically, economically, trade influence. It's a multilateral.
Now, if you talked about the Tiananmen Square, I think like then you would see it.
You just lost 10 fucking public points or whatever it is.
Yeah. Social credit.
Social credit, yes.
Jacob Adler says that France doesn't care about crimes. They are going after him because Russia moved on Mali and Niger. Yes, there does seem to be a couple of problems with France's influence in Africa, and they are blaming Telegram for the ability to organize of the resistance groups in those countries.
I'd say that sounds pretty plausible.
Yeah, they have been humiliated basically in Africa.
Yeah, well, France hasn't like their grip in that region has been slipping for a while. But I mean, everyone's grip in that region except for China has been slipping. But it's just the whole that whole arrest thing. Anyway, we talked about it earlier. I don't want.
Yeah. So, yeah, Elon Musk. Now, here's what I understand from a Brazilian friend. And again, I haven't fact checked this, so if you guys have better info than me, please correct me. For a while in Brazil, the legislative branch has given it a lot of power and authority to the judicial branch. So they gave the judicial branch a lot of executive and legal powers. To the point where you have this Borô guy, which is by name a judge, but in reality he's got like a lot more power than any judge in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that Elon Musk didn't go with his request is because if you look at what he did up until now, he did cave in to a lot of requests for censorship from other governments. So he caved in to Germany, he caved in to India, but all of these cases were like asking up front over the table. It was like, we, the Indian government, ask you to blah, blah, blah. So you'll be like, okay, fine. In the case of Brazil, he was asked to keep it secret, to ban the accounts of a senator from Brazil, of a pastor and a journalist and many other people, and to not mention that the order comes from Brazil, and to not give any reason to the banning of the accounts, besides just to say this account has been terminated for Twitter TOS violations.
They wanted Twitter to use their "we can terminate for any reason" and then not give any specification as to why. Wow, that's
yeah. So basically, what pissed him off? It's like, okay, if you want to censor, that's fine, but we're not going to censor on your behalf and have us pretend that we are the ones that decided to terminate these accounts.
Yeah.
So this is what got him in trouble with the judge. And apparently the judge also violated the Brazilian constitution, which says that you shouldn't basically, like if you're censoring, you should give the reason. You shouldn't censor without giving a reason and doing it like subversively like this.
Mm-hmm. That's the real truth, though. Like platforms having to respond to governments is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
We have to come to grips with that shit. But it should be clear when the government stepped in.
Yeah, this is because a lot of governments seem to be trying to do this. It's like they're forwarding the concept that it's a private company and can do whatever it wants. But as we saw with the Twitter files and Jack Dorsey, and even Facebook with Zuckerberg, usually the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, they're asking, not in an official manner, but they're like, hey, can you please do this and this for us without a court order, without a judge signing a subpoena. So this is this is concerning, right? And this is basically what Elon Musk is highlighting. Now, apparently in Brazil, if you try to use a VPN, the punishment is $8,000 per day.
Yes.
And we're talking about
one of the reasons why telecommuting in Brazil is a problem, because companies that want to use a VPN suddenly, well, you're in trouble if you try.
I'm curious, like, how expensive this is going to be for the Brazilian economy. Because you still have like companies that rely on Twitter for advertising. You still have like a lot of newspapers and publications that require Twitter to function. Academics, people that are developing their own social media tools. So it's probably, I don't know how reliant Brazil is on Twitter, but it may actually cost their economy a little bit.
Well, definitely. Like first of all, the companies that are creating digital products or digital platforms or experiences for clients that are focused or for using Twitter are going to be affected. All of those companies are currently producing material that no longer has an output, right?
Yeah.
Like if they're creating like an interface for a shop that wants to integrate with Twitter or whatever the hell, well, suddenly Twitter is no longer available. All their work is useless. Now, on the other hand, anyone who was using Twitter that now wants a different, I say, wide-scale, quick access social media are probably going to go to WeChat. So
I think Brazil has its own version. Yeah, I think they're having. Yeah. I've been told they have.
Because I know Brazil has a lot of like side exchanges and like economic ties with China. So I just assumed they would automatically go to WeChat. But whatever it is that would have Temu on their interface.
Do you think that people are saying that the punishment for the VPN can't be enforced? I'll tell you how they'll enforce it. They will find like one or two people and set them as an example. And then you probably won't be able to sleep at night knowing that you're using a VPN and you've already collected like 4 months of internet time. So,
Now,
yeah.
it is correct in the sense that it cannot be enforced, but there's an asterisk on that, right? It can be enforced. If an IT department has anyone worth their salt in there, they can activate X forward and they can find everything they want about your VPN or about where you're going in and out of anywhere that they're putting their cables or their satellite signals that's going out of the country, right? You can get that shit.
No, but usually they don't even need to. Like if you have a Brazilian Twitter, right? You're a prominent journalist and you want to report stuff, right? Like the moment that Twitter starts tweeting, like they will know you tweeted, so they will come knocking at your door and ask questions, right? So you don't.
What they'll do is they'll go after you the same way they go after people who like used to do like long-term file sharing or anything like that. They listen if your line is hot enough for a while, and then if you come up on their radar or they need someone to make an example of, then they'll pick you up.
Yeah. But like I'm pretty sure like the average Brazilian, if he really wants to, he may be using it. But like, will you be able to sleep at night? And it's not 8,000 Brazilians; it's $8,000. Okay,
$8,000 US.
US dollars, yes. Like a lot more than the average Brazilian earns in multiple months per day of
more than a year's salary for the average citizen.
Yes, per day of use. So like, if you're using the VPN every single day, you're using it. And take into account
you forget that shit on overnight. You leave your PC running. Oh my lord.
And take into account that there are other ways that you can be tracked. Like if someone comes into your house and just takes a picture of your wallpaper and you have the VPN there, they can take it to the police and you can get in trouble for it. Like
they can track the day that you installed it and you're billed for each day that it was installed.
Yes. Like you don't actually need to like have an IT guy to find it. But I
Cat 45. Are you serious that Dev agrees with that kind of like government fingers in your pie bullshit?
Yes. If the government asks, you can say no, or you should know that.
Fuck that shit.
Stephen Hunt, is your name spelled or it's O-R-Z?
Orz.
Yeah. Hi V, hope all is well. What I missed? Well, you missed the Telegram story, you missed the Twitter story, you missed the you missed a lot.
You missed some shit, American.
Right. So, do you think this will last, or do you think like Brazil will allow Twitter back?
I mean, obviously they're gonna want Twitter back because it's a popular platform, and the Brazilian government has its own interests in maintaining communication on it as well. I think it's a power play because of the judge got insulted, right? And he used a back end trick to put Musk in basically the corner. I can explain it if you want because it's kind of funny when you think about it from Brazil law. But that judge used a little legal loophole to be able to legally shut down like X within the scope of his powers. Because
is there anyone that can challenge the judge? Like, is there anything on top of him, or is he like the final?
That I don't know. I don't know if there's an oversight above him, except for I would assume Lula. Because if this guy is like the equivalent of like a grand attorney general or whatever the fuck crown that they put on top of this guy's head, then the only one who can really overrule or accept or force a resignation of that person is the person who's on top of him, which would be probably Lula.
I don't know. Like, I think even Lula may not be, right? Because, like, the presidential and the judicial is separate.
Who appointed that guy? Yeah, whoever appointed that guy would be the one that would typically have the legislative power.
I think what would happen, let's look at the case of the United States, right? Like, let's say you have a rogue Supreme Court, like all 9 judges on the Supreme Court just agree with each other, right?
Yeah.
And they start just going AWOL. How can you get rid of them? Because they're put for life. And you can say, oh, we're going to gerrymander the court. And they say, no, it's unconstitutional. Fuck off. So the only way you can get rid of them would be to change the constitution. Like, you would need 2/3 of the...
Yeah, you would need a binding resolution in order to change the entire thing. And then hope that the Supreme Court doesn't get involved by saying, nope, The moment anyone starts to challenge that shit.
Yeah, that
Right,
because like this is what amuses me when people are like, well, the Democrats are going to pack the Supreme Court, and I'm like, yeah, but like, what if the Supreme Court says that's unconstitutional? Because they can, right?
That's
like
right.
it's
Yeah, that's right.
they can look
say,
at the
no, it's not
legislation.
allowed, and then you
Yeah.
have to you'd have to argue to them.
No, like seriously, right? Like they would be in their full right to say. So like, let's say the Democrats go, yeah, we want 4 more Supreme Court justices, and we want the Supreme Court justice to not be elected for a lifetime, blah blah blah. And then you have Claris going like, no, fuck off, that's unconstitutional, you can't do it. Right? So like, if you really want it done, then you'd have to change the American Constitution. You'd have to make a new amendment. And you yeah. So I'm thinking like it's the same in Brazil. I'm thinking that in order for this to change, you'd either need like someone to convince this guy to backtrack his decisions, or I don't even think Lula can, and I don't even know if Lula has the interest to do it.
I don't think so. I think Lula's very happy with what's going on right now. He's basically pushing forward uncontested, and there's no reason for him to challenge the status quo. He's getting what he wants. So
The interesting thing is that he fucked with the other company of Elon Musk, SpaceX, I think, right? Or was it Tesla? Which one did he fuck with?
I don't know.
They seized they seized the money from another one of Elon Musk's company. But what's interesting is that Elon Musk isn't the only guy owning shares in his other companies. It's like also a lot of people from Silicon Valley do. And what I found interesting is that the Americans didn't bitch about it. Because if you remember, like in Uganda, there was a funny event during Jack Dorsey's Twitter where the Ugandan president gets banned from Twitter, so the Ugandan president bans Twitter in his country.
Yeah.
Right. So immediately Joe Biden was like, oh, unacceptable, human rights, oh, free speech, oh, mama. And now, for some fucking reason, it's Brazil is happening, and the American embassy is like, we are monitoring the situation. It's like, dude, you've been monitoring it for months. Like, are you going to put some pressure on Brazil? Like, you give them foreign aid. Like, you can tell them that, hey, what are you doing with our infrastructure? Why are you blocking our shit? It's like, no.
I would be very curious because it's not like Brazil is a small place. Right?
Yeah.
A couple of 100 million people, I would assume, at least in there. Jeez. And Twitter is big in there, so it's I'm with you. It's really curious that they're so quiet about it.
So
I wonder what kind of back channel, chatter that they're having about it.
Well, the conspiracy theory is that the Americans want it to happen because the Americans want to pressure Musk into cooperating with them, right? And the thing is, like, they can't really do that much because he has Starlink, which is incorporated into the United States Defense Force with the war in Ukraine.
There's something that's even more. Well, wait. Remember, the American Defense Forces Starlink, they have their own, right? So,
my understanding,
US constellation is separate from Starlink.
No. Like in Ukraine,
now,
right? Like in the Ukraine conflict, right? They need Elon Musk's satellites to operate. So
there's something more live than that, V. Right now, the U.S. and Boeing are relying on Elon Musk to get a shuttle all the way up to the friggin' station where those astronauts.
I don't think the politicians give that much of a fuck, to be honest. I don't.
You'd be surprised, man. You would be very surprised if those astronauts die in orbit. It would be a national scandal. Since when's the last time an astronaut died on a mission?
I don't know. When's the last time a president?
Apollo fucking 13 or something like that.
Yeah. But listen. When's the last time a president was assassinated? Was under assassination attempt, and it was memory hold? Like, have you heard any mention of that since it happened on a mainstream media outlet? It's almost like it's fucking crickets, right? So I think if it were,
I see it come up when people make fun of the bulletproof glass.
Yeah, but not in the media, right?
It never comes up anymore.
So I think that if what you're saying would happen, if heaven forbid those astronauts pass away, I think it would be mentioned once and then just memory hold.
Yes, Snake Dude brings up the correct one. Challenger is the one that had the last loss of life.
I think Brazil messed with Starlink and country. Yeah, I think so too, which again is very weird that America is just so quiet about it.
Yeah. I mean, messing with a constellation of satellites, that violates a bunch of international laws as well. So I'm surprised that passed too.
I want V to argue with Dev more. Look, if I argue with him, I'll start screaming, and if I start screaming, I wake the baby, so I can't. Ors, you should see Dev's take on the Trump assassination attempt. Oh my god. I don't know what firefighters did to Dev. I don't know, like, in his childhood was a firefighter that upset him. But
what's Dev's take?
he is so he has like such a fucking ghoulish take on it. Apparently,
What?
you know, like a firefighter passed away at the event, right?
Yeah, got shot, right?
Yeah. So basically, if you want to know Dev's take, you watch Destiny, and it's basically that. Like, Destiny gives you a heads up on Dev's take, usually 1 or 2 days in advance. And Destiny
Don't tell me he actually thought that it was good that dude died.
No. But basically, like, Destiny goes into the ideology of the dude. That's like, oh, so he was like January 6th. And I'm like, okay,
Wow,
that's
fuck
right.
that dehumanizing shit.
Right. So then Dev goes and mentions that on stream, and people are like, what the fuck? Why do you bring it up, you know? And he is upset about it. Like, you can see that it affected him at some level, that people had the audacity. And I think, like, in his night, as he closed his eyes, he's like, the firefighter. You know? And apparently...
Yeah, he just scenes about the firefighter.
It's like the children in the corn shit. It's like the blue man. Yes, the blue man, you know? But anyway, apparently, the family of the firefighter comes, and they say that he was a hero because as the bullets started flying, the guy jumped in front of them to protect the daughter, and he took a bullet for her, right? Like, heroic stuff. And Dev comes up and says he watched the video, which I watched as well, but I didn't see what he saw. And he's like, no, the guy wasn't a hero. He didn't jump in front of the bullet. He just stumbled. He just you know, like, got shot and he tripped. And it's how the family sees it. And I'm like,
He tried to deconstruct.
Yes. And I'm like, why? Why though? Why do you?
Wow, how small is your goddamn life that you gotta deconstruct someone else's death to make your political point?
Why even go there?
Yeah,
like,
I'm with aristocratic on this one here. That is some straight up evil nonsense.
It's like, just read the room, dude. Just read the room. It's anyway.
Just have some goddamn empathy, man. Basic empathy.
Yeah, like, again, like, at the end of the day, like, what are you trying to achieve with this? Like, even if you were right, you know? And this is how, like,
no purpose, man.
Yeah, like, if this is...
bono.
Yeah, if this is how the family perceives it, like, what does it change if you... Well, whatever. You know, I'm not even...
Yeah, it's they're allowed to cope, man. They just lost someone to a senseless death. They're allowed to cope.
Yeah.
Let them have their moment, man.
And not to mention, I watched the... Yeah, I watched the video as well, and it doesn't seem that what Dev is saying is true. I generally think, like, the guy rushed to protect his family. Like, that's...
Stumble or not, man, you act in that moment.
Yeah. The firefighter was just a victim. Dev 2024 verbatim. Well, he was a victim, but...
Wow.
The very fact that you even have to bring it up is just... Well, whatever. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, Dev does Dev. It's his channel. It's his audience. I don't share his views. Anyway, let's talk about the gender as a suit thing, right? So apparently, there were some people very upset on the internet, and this is due to the fact that some porn actresses, some content creators, which are cisgender women, placed dildos in their panties and pretended to be trans. and they made a lot of money while doing it. And I'm curious, like, when it was revealed that they are cis women, do you know that scene in Mulan with the general, like, being incredibly disappointed and disheartened, finding that Mulan is not a guy and it's a woman? I wonder if the people that were enjoying this type of content felt the same.
Well, I don't know, but I'm sure that there was going to be a lot of comments about it. So, what are these people saying about this?
Oh,
like
they're very...
They're putting the shit down their pants and they're packing it for, like, what, social media snapshots or what?
Yeah. They're doing, like, OnlyFans stuff, right? They were like cis women and they were pretending to be trans. And the other content creator that were trans were upset that they are losing viewership.
Wow. Press triangle.
Press triangle, yes. And the problem with this, is that apparently anyone can be like what is a trans woman? Well, someone that identifies as such, right? Except for a cis woman. Like a cis woman can't identify as a trans woman. This is what I'm getting from this.
So at what point do they have the right to self-identify?
I don't fucking know. Like the ideology is very complex.
Did the EU implement an approval form?
Dude, this is way above my pay grade. You need to go into America, spend like 50K, and get like 4 years of gender studies education in order to understand these deep and complex intricacies.
Holy shit! No kidding. So basically, these people are probably raking it in because this is like untapped market share on like I don't know.
Well, I already
OnlyFans
explained
or
it, right? Because
Subscribe
the reason it actually came on my desk is due to right wingers being concerned. So basically, like right wingers are concerned that so now like people are watching this type of thing, right? Like this is what's profitable now. And I'm like, no, listen, all right. If you're a right winger, you should understand basic bitch capitalism, supply and demand. The most demanded thing out there is just vanilla shit. Like last time I checked, it was 18. Like that was what Pornhub released as the biggest search, right? And when you're looking at that vanilla stuff, if you're a content creator in that area, well, you're competing with hundreds of thousands of other content creators. But if you're doing like a niche thing, which seems to be like transgender stuff, well, then you're competing with maybe 2,000, 5,000 other content creators. So the competition is really, really slow. This is why a lot of e-girls that are doing these naughty websites are going on Twitch. And they're creating new metas with like where you stream naked, but it's just above the nipple, or you have like a censorship bar or something, right?
You wear a bikini that is the same color as a green screen, and then you project your game through the bikini.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's because like if they do it on their platforms, they're competing with hundreds of thousands of other ladies. But if they're doing it on Twitch, no one else is doing it, and they get into the news, and everyone talks about them, and eventually they get banned. But once they get banned, like all the other audience transitions onto the other platforms.
Holy shit! All right.
Wasn't the last space shuttle fatality the Columbia? I'm pretty sure I remember seeing it blow up coming in orbit in 2003. Challenger was in 86. Oh, you got called out. It's true. It was the Columbia.
Definitely. I honestly don't know when the last fatality was, but I was like, all I know is that every time there was a fatality, there was always a big international scandal, and it affected a lot of shit.
So what happened?
Having those people die in orbit, man, that's not going to be popular for anyone.
Well, unless you're in the Soviet Union, like that was expected. Like there was actually a case where an astronaut.
Oh yeah, but I mean, you set your expectations with the playing field.
Yeah, there was an astronaut that didn't want to go, but they didn't want to allow their friend to go, so he went instead. And apparently, the only thing that they found at him on landing was his the bone at the end of the leg. Fuck, what's it called in English?
The femur?
No, not the femur. Like the foot.
Tibia?
No, the foot. The last part of the foot. The heel. God, the heel.
The heel.
Yeah, they only find one heel from him. They also, goodness gracious, like the Soviet Union was so fucking sadistic. Do you know what they did to that dog? What was it called?
Yeah,
Laika. So basically, they wanted to send a dog in space, one-way trip, just to see what happens. Like no other fucking reason. Like they already sent people in space at that point. Like they understood the environment, but they just wanted to send the dog in space. Apparently,
how would the dog adapt? Could it still do its commands? Because like they had trained it, I think, to paw at shit in there to help control it, right?
I don't know. I don't think like they had the ability, the high technology to have like 4K cameras in the shop. Basically, the dog got cooked before it even reached orbit, right?
It got cooked on the way up.
Yeah, the rocket turned into a fucking furnace and burned the dog alive.
Oh,
right.
Man,
So what they did is like they released all sorts of stamps, and they made like huge television broadcasts with the dog flying happily in space and all that propaganda bullshit. You can go on Google it. You can look for Leica stamps, and you can find like the dog flying into space very happy. But yeah, that was the Soviet Union. So going back to what's happening now, why are the astronauts stuck in space?
Well, Boeing is supposed to have a Starliner that goes back and forth, a reusable launch vehicle that goes from surface to orbit. And Boeing is going through. They're having issues. V.
Yeah, they are.
Boeing seems to be having a lot of issues since they changed their staffing approach, right?
Mm.
And it's at the point now where SpaceX has been basically tapped because Boeing doesn't, they can't get it to go to be like orbit worthy again. So now they're gonna have to take a SpaceX, like a SpaceX vehicle. I think they're gonna use the same one as always, but they're gonna have to make sure that whatever connection point that they've got for the SpaceX vehicle actually connects to the orbital vessel that they're going to be connecting to.
But hold on, why are the astronauts up there? Because I understand they were supposed to be up there for a couple of weeks, and now it's been several months, and they may not come back until a year. Yeah,
like they're running out of their rebreather system is probably running out. Their supplies are probably running out. It's not going to be comfortable in there.
Do you think they're rationing?
They absolutely have to. If they can't, okay, so if they had a vehicle that could actually bring supplies up there, they could probably just don their suits, go in the vehicle, and then drop back down, assuming that it's rated for re-entry. They can't even get supplies up there. I don't think they have anything outside of SpaceX that can connect to that damn thing right now, unless they go tap, like, I don't know, China or Russia, and they're not going to do that for sure.
Jesus Christ.
So,
man.
yeah, like those people are marooned up there, basically in an orbital island.
Do we know what? They can't even talk with Earth, right? Like they don't have.
Oh yeah, they have communication. Absolutely, they have communication.
Do we know what they're talking, or is it secret?
I don't know. I don't think that they broadcast that shit.
They probably are not in a very good mental state. Let's put it like this.
Well, you're up against a ticking clock, and they're admitting that they have to go through non-Boeing to attach to a Boeing standardized connector, right, in order to get their airlock shit. So hopefully they're not going to turn into a bad reproduction of like Interstellar.
No, but the problem that I'm having with this is like, okay, so if they're supposed to be there for 1 week, and now it's been months, like, okay, rationing, but how much food do they have left? How much water do they have left?
Well, they always package a lot more than what they need. Typical NASA standard is something like, I think it's like 10 times the required or 5 times the required. And there's onboard regenerators for like captured urine and such. So they have like a slowly replenishing supply of water, right? There's always diminishing returns. So they've got some stuff to sustain them, but I would imagine they're on their they're on their last emergency legs, which is probably why they have to get a third-party shuttle like standardized up to the point where they can connect with that orbital craft and then get everyone out.
So what's happening?
That's not going to be easy, man.
What's happening
SpaceX
with
shuttle is not going to be made for that.
What's happening with Boeing? Because I understand like they had like 2 docking stations, right? And the Boeing one docked, but apparently there's a software issue. So now Boeing can update the software, but if the software breaks, then they can't use one of the emergency docks. So like NASA doesn't allow them to update the software because they don't trust Boeing. Is that correct?
I don't know enough about that part.
That's what I heard. So they're like asking SpaceX to fix the day. And Elon said that, yeah, we can send the Dragon shuttle, but it may be up until next year.
How the hell are they gonna live?
Yeah,
I'm trying to you think about how much poundage a standard human body requires in food. All of that food is going to be dehydrated, so they'll require water to rehydrate it. That's a lot of.
There have been astronauts that lived a year in space, right? Like it's not something that wasn't done, but they were prepared.
When you're supplied for it, but they've already been up there a bunch of months.
So, I mean, it's not the worst that happened. In the Soviet Union, apparently, a lady astronaut was lost in space. I mean, that's probably a lot more mortifying.
Well, Omega Tau, you said that they're fine, but how are they fine if they're unable to like get on and off? Like, are they able to send supplies up there? Because if they're not able to connect their ships or anything like that because of a software issue, then how are they going to get like new supplies and new food to the space station?
Yeah, because if you have food, then most of the stuff is I don't know how the air
water
works.
Can self-replenish a little bit, but food, you have to have material food.
Yeah. Stephen Hunt V, do you disavow Dev? Absolutely not. I would have less content if it wasn't for him, so I fully avow everything that he says. Wasn't the last space shuttle fatal? Okay, I read this one. Thank you for the 2 gifts, Zedif. I appreciate it. The ISS has regular supply runs. So
Yeah,
maybe like
okay.
they can give them supply, but they can't, because what I understand is like the spacesuits are too bulky and they can't leave the ship with the spacesuit on or something like that.
Okay, I guess. Well, I mean, hey, if they're not on a ticking clock, then why are they treating it as so urgent and such big news?
Well,
Shit,
dude,
man, I thought that there was a lot more to it than
well,
that.
hold on. If you sign up for a 1-week trip into space, and then you're stranded there for 6 months,
Yeah, true.
how would you
It
feel?
becomes an event, yeah.
How would you feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning, or?
I feel pretty bad. I'd want an extra coffee.
Yeah. No, but I think they're going to sue when they land. I think that they're going to be like Boeing.
Man, when they land, I think the first thing they're going to want to do is vomit because they're going to have to readjust to gravity. Like being in microgravity for that long, that's going to fuck with their bones.
Who do they who are they going to sue? The U.S. government or Boeing?
I don't know. I don't even know if they can sue.
Do you think they signed the waiver where they're like giving away their right to sue?
I think it's more of a thing that if you sue, then you can't get hired again, and you're only really good for that specific job.
Yeah, but like if you sue and you win, then you probably don't need to work a single day in your life.
True.
I mean, you're suing the U.S. government and Boeing, so.
You avow devs gay communist.
100%. 100%. All right, listen. Have you heard the Walt Disney scandal that happened last week?
There's a new one?
Yes.
Which one is it?
So apparently, this couple goes to a Disney restaurant. Like that, this is a very traumatic event, but like trying not to laugh while telling it because it's like beyond the pale. It's like something so monumentally stupid that you're like, what the fuck? So this couple goes to a restaurant, right? And the lady says that she's allergic. And the restaurant at Disney says like, oh yeah, it's fine. We're going to make sure that your food is not going to have any of the allergens. And they fuck it up, and she dies. So now the husband wants to sue Disney. So what the Disney lawyer says is that because he signed to Disney Plus 3 years ago, he waived the right to sue the company when he clicked the accept the terms and license conditioning.
Oh yeah, because of the trial account that he had made on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
That's talk about wild, man.
That's
you sign into something on a streaming service, and then you release your rights to corporeal satisfaction or legal issues because you signed on to a streaming service.
Yeah. So the thing is though, let's assume that is correct. Let's assume that legally speaking, they would get a pass. You're fucking Disney. You're a multi-billion-dollar company. Just pay the fucking man so that you don't lose the PR from this shit.
Yeah, $2 million, and it's gone.
It's just like he probably asked less than $2 million.
Probably.
And it's like, how does this look though? How does this look?
50K? Did they?
Yeah,
ask for 50K
he asked for 50K, and they're like, well, yeah, you did sign for Disney Plus trial, so fuck you.
Wow. Dude, 50K is not even the legal bill for the first dissertation that your lawyer's gonna have just for the introduction or whatever. Wow, holy shit, dude.
Who's running?
Man.
Who's running Disney, man? Like, what is with this competency crisis? Jesus fucking Christ.
Iger is the one that's on top of tops. And
I
his bunch of board of director buddies kept him there, so...
Man, if it was your company, wouldn't you just pay the guy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why I'm kind of flipping out here that if it is 50K, let's say that 50K was the number, or even what Montas just said there. Let's say it's 100K. You think about the amount of dollars per hour for the legal team, right? That would have to draft all of the shit, go through pre-discovery and all of that stuff, do the vetting and all that. You would think about the PR. You would think about how much time any of your other staff members per hour would be involved in this. That's going to hit 100K in no less than 3 to 5 days. You pay that 100K, you turn around and you wipe your hands, happy that it only costs you 100K.
Yeah, I mean, from a PR perspective, right? Your company fucked up. There's no doubt about it. They're not saying it didn't happen. They're not saying that, right? So they fucked up. A person died. Like, from a PR standpoint, like, let alone the calculations and the economy, and it's like, just pay the fucking man.
Yeah, that's why I said 2 million. 2 million would have been a fair price for that shit. 2 million for their silence, and this thing doesn't ever hit the courts, and you don't have to go through, like, the actual discovery process and the dirty shit that would come out because of that. Because, like, when they're going to go through discovery, you're going to know that they're going to find all sorts of shit in that restaurant they don't want the public to know. And then it's going to become part of the public record.
When free trial equals no trial. You signed up for Disney Plus, so your wife's passing isn't our problem. LOL, Disney's legal team. Well, yeah, seriously, I bet that lawyer felt very proud of himself.
Man, that lawyer probably, like, if they filed that argument before the judge, I bet you whoever it was, the legal assist or whatever it was, probably got the pimp slap of a lifetime when he come back. Because if he would have put that in front of the judge, and the judge would have thrown it out with prejudice, it could have invalidated the EULA. Because one condition inside the EULA can be enough for people to say, well, no, all of this shit, I don't know all, or the rest about the legality of all of the rest of that stuff. So,
I mean, no, he did file it before the judge. That's why it got into the fucking papers, right?
But whenever you dismiss something to just say no, it doesn't apply, the judge can also say it doesn't apply, and then extra shit, because obviously this is actually against the person's so-and-so rights or whatever, and they could strike the entire EULA or invalidate
so
it.
the way the law works in the US is very baffling to me, because like you have the EULA and
very weird.
Here in Europe, you can't waive your right away if it's a legal right. So for instance, if I agree that, you know, I sign a consent and someone gets to stab me in the back and I'm like, yeah, I consent to this, that is illegal. Because even if I give him consent, you know, the law of the land forbids it from happening. So this is why, like, a lot of American stuff that comes here on Steam, and it's like, oh, you agree to the terms of service. It's like, no, it doesn't matter, because the EU law is more important than the terms of service. Like, you can't sign your rights away to a company, right? But in
like binding arbitration, right? Like in the US, you have to argue that you're actually allowed to go to a judge and not go through binding arbitration, whereas in the EU, by default, you have to accept and hard waive your right to binding arbitration. You can't just, like, willy-nilly automatically sign it away just because you clicked on the checkbox.
Yeah. And this whole thing with clicking on a checkbox is so fucking American as well. It's like...
Dude, what about the ones that say, if you use this site, you accept the EULA? And it's like, the EULA is buried 6 pages deep, man.
Yeah. And you have to go, like, through pages of technical and legal mumbo-jumbo just to play a video game. Right? And it's obvious, like, what they're doing. Like they're throwing the legalese at you. So you don't notice that deep buried within, it's like, oh yeah, I think it was Ubisoft that had this. I may be wrong, but they basically said, if you're streaming our games, we can use your face for promotion. If anyone else comes into your room while you're streaming your game, we can use their face as well. And it's like, well, hold on.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Ubisoft. That sounds like either an EA or an Ubisoft thing.
Like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
We own your soul.
It's like the idea of reaching out on a table and grabbing any chips that don't look like they belong to anyone's pile. If no one contests it, right? If no one says shit about it, then maybe by default it becomes yours. It's the same. It's the equivalent of that, except on a weird, like, I guess, pseudo-legal level. That's just a straight-up bullshit.
I am curious, though, like, if in the terms of service they would say, like, you owe them $100 every day you play their game, and then they come to collect, would that be legally binding?
Well, you would... No, but you would probably have to at least... It would have to go up in court, right? Because the fact that you signed up to it, they could probably start off by saying, hey, this person owes us this, and they can file it immediately with, like, whatever collections agency, and then because it's a big company filing something to collections, by default they have the high trust. So you would have to fight it in order to prove that this is not shenanigans. But it is shenanigans.
Yeah, no, because at this point, I'm just, like, wondering, okay, so they can put whatever the fuck they want. But, like, one of the things that they're doing now, and this is really just starting to piss me off, because everything that's connected to the internet is something that I don't trust nowadays. You can buy a smart TV, right? and you put it in your house, you put it on your wall, and you're happy with it, and it works. And then it says, oh, you need to approve to this new terms of service, or else your TV is bricked.
Yeah, and some of them are like, yeah, the microphone that you can use for your vocal mic will now also listen to the word Pepsi or whatever.
Yeah, we're going to give it to CIA and shit. Yeah, like every single time there's a commercial, if you jump out excitedly and scream the name, you can fast forward the commercial, you know? If you just go like, yeah, you go like McDonald's, and it just passes through, you know?
Yeah, like the old Xbox patent for their oh my god, what was the name of that stupid infrared bar that they were spying on everyone's houses with?
They're like the worst thing that I ever saw. Like the most evil thing was phone ads that track your eyes, and if you look away from the ad pauses, and it only listens when you look back at it. And I'm like, God,
that's some Black Mirror shit. Look at content. Re-engage content. Bleep, bleep, bleep. Oh.
Drink Mountain Dew to open it.
Yeah, open up verification can. And yes, PG with the right one that says Connect. And yes, Connect was looking into people's friggin' living rooms. It was pretty scary.
You know, we actually did discuss about this. We talked about Ubisoft and their new Assassin's Creed, and I was like, is it going to sell? And you said it's Assassin's Creed. Of course it's going to sell. But then we noticed that the pre-orders...
No, I said people are going to play it.
Yeah, people are going to play it.
People are going to play it. It's probably not going to sell because not with Ubi Plus. Ubi Plus, man, if they put that game on Ubi Plus or whatever they call their subscription service now, people are going to pay the one fee. They're going to play it for about 6.5 hours, and then they're going to throw it away.
See, this is what I wanted to touch on, because you have like many companies that are trying the Plus model, right? Like you have Xbox Live, you have PlayStation Network, and you have Ubisoft. And the idea is that if you pay $15 a month, you get like the Netflix library of games. But people aren't buying.
No.
They're not buying. I
mean, why? Most games people will play and then put down. Right, well, very few games retain people over and over, and usually these are service games like FIFA and other shit like that.
Yeah, no, because the problem
where you can build something like UFC.
Yeah, the problem with it is that if you are dumb enough to take the bait, and you're playing like, let's say, Call of Duty or whatever the fuck, right? It's not Ubisoft, but like let's say you're playing a multiplayer game, right? And you're building your character, you're getting skins and drop boxes and loots and shit, and then you don't pay that $15 a month. You lose everything. You lose your account, you lose your friends list, you lose like all of that. Why would you do that?
Drop back down to regular status. Well, it's like if you don't care about what you're losing, then you're not losing anything, right? For people who just want to play or who get like the shiny thing of the moment syndrome, right? The subscription service is perfectly fine, but at the end of the day, the studios are the ones who really, really lose out, because if their game goes on, say, like Game Pass or whatever equivalent each of these platforms have, the people can just play the game, get their fill, and then move on, right? If they're not the kind of gamers who buy a game and then play the like 2,000 hours of it or something like that, right? If they're a horsefly gamer where they go from thing to thing, the Game Pass is perfect, and those studios don't get the sale. All they get is Ubisoft being able to go, hey, look how many subscribers we have this month, and try to, gaslight their investors into thinking that they're actually still going to make money.
Yeah, see, I actually spoke with the higher up from Ubisoft. You disagree with him, but he said that he does get they do get a lot of money from governments, especially in Europe.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Europe, yeah, but I was saying Canada. Canada doesn't have very big grants for
but like Ubisoft has studios in Europe as well.
Oh yeah.
And on top of that, like
definitely,
Dustborn, for example, Dustborn got US dollars for pushing the ideology. They also got European money, and they also got Norwegian cash.
Yeah, didn't Dustborn get a bunch of cash from a military organization for pushing counter message or something like that?
Yes, from the United States.
The USA?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not kidding. The interesting thing is that the U.S. actually had, a couple of months ago, released the Department of Homeland Security communication, where they are interested in getting into video games. So
I mean, since America's Army, that's another one of
No,
the
no, 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 no.
4
That yeah,
games.
no. They want to regulate.
That
No,
one was a big success for them.
yeah,
as
no,
well.
no, no. They want to regulate big publishers and they want to regulate like platforms like Steam.
Oh, they want to regulate.
Yeah. So they can always
I
listen
thought
in. No, listen. So that they can always listen in to what you're saying, what you're communicating online, what you're talking, right? Because they're like, video games are grounds fostering for extremism. And there, in the depths of Warcraft 3 is where white nationalism fosters. And we need to listen in. We need artificial intelligence to tell us. I'm paraphrasing. But basically that's the shit, right? Like they want to listen in to everything you do.
Yeah, Years in the Shadows style.
Yeah, like I remember, back in the day when I was a little lad and I was growing up, and there was an executable on my screen called Quake. And I would double click that shit, and then there was multiplayer, and you get the list of servers, then you double click that shit. And as long as you did exactly that from Canada, we could now play together. And there was no account, there was no username, there was no terms of service. No, we just played.
Direct connection.
There is no more of that now, right? Like you can't do that with any game.
No, it's more and more rare. A lot are using the ease of just connecting via like the Steam integrated service or anything like that. But yeah, games that allow direct IP connection are becoming way, way, way more rare because of the whole opening port shit.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't handle that.
You think that's bad? Wait till you see how much time members of U.S. Congress get to read the equivalent of the entirety of Tolkien's unabridged works before signing it into law. Yeah, so AOC actually bitched about this, and I do agree with her. She was saying that many times they are giving a compendium of law, and with only like 4 or 5 hours before deciding to vote on it, right? So it would be like Save the Puppies bill. And in the Save the Puppies bill, you have like 7,000 pages of shit. And it's done on purpose so that the senators don't read it. And if you don't vote on it, it's like, so why do you don't want to save the puppies? Why are you a bad person, right?
Yeah, or if you vote for the easy victory bill, it turns out that there's like 200 million of pork barrel projects in there as well. Yeah.
So what I think will happen actually is with the use of AI, you can just put that bill into the AI and you can ask the AI. It's like, all right, give me a summary of what I'm
summary. Summarize this, GPT.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of bullshit.
Yeah, it's like GPT. I am AOC. Is there anything?
Tell it to talk to you like Ollie Williams.
Yeah, it's like GPT. I'm AOC. Is there anything in this bill that I would disagree with?
Yeah.
No, seriously. Like GPT is really good at this. Like it's not good at creating. Like it's not good at writing. But if you ask
good
it,
at interpreting though.
Yeah, if you're asking to do character analysis, if you're asking it to summarize something, like it's really great. So I wouldn't be surprised if members of Congress that, well, first of all, are interested in doing this, and secondly, actually want to do it, like they could actually use AI and it's like, okay, summarize me the 7,000 pages bill. Why am I against it? Why am I for it? Etc. Etc.
That's right. If you don't know what's in a bill, you can't vote for. You can't vote on it in good conscience. You should vote no.
Oh yeah, same thing is happening in the EU. Yeah, the MEPs vote blind. Have you seen how they vote in the EU?
Holy fuck, yes.
Yeah, it's like we got Act 45-3. Who's in favor? Who's against?
I mean, I don't know if they allow it in the EU, but at least when I look at the Parliament, when they're doing their whole button push thing, at least they can't reach over and push their friend's button.
Oh, goodness, that was a problem in my country, yeah.
But man, that's to huge. Be fair, that happens all the time.
But it's not only that, right? It's also, realistically speaking, if you're super cynical, how can you verify if the system is working or not?
I don't know, man. That's always a good question.
But like if you're genuinely cynical, like let's say you're like Eastern European level cynicism, especially if it's like a vote that's very close. I guess the only way you can is if you actually talk with everyone and ask them how they voted.
And then assume that they're going to tell you the truth 100% of the time.
I think some of the votes are published online, though. So like, if a person, like, would see someone else, it's like, wait, hold on. Like, I didn't vote this way, right?
I guess. I mean,
yeah.
I've never seen it posted online, at least not for Canada, that's for sure. But...
yeah, I mean...
No, like, really, if you really needed to sit down and audit it, how do you really audit a full election?
No, like
that's actually a really good question. Holy shit.
Well, no, not the election, but I'm talking about like in the actual house, right? So you have like how many dignitaries are in the EU? Like 300 and something or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Like let's say you
But
have
I mean,
300.
any political position that's voted in, right? Like,
No,
how
no,
do
no.
you really
Like
get down to
I'm
the
saying, like, all
nitty-gritty?
right, all right. So you have like let's say 350 senators, right? And they're sitting down
Yeah.
and they're voting by pressing a button, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And they all vote, and then you have the result: 250 in favor, and everyone else is against. How do you know if that result is legit? And I think the only
Well,
reason you would know is if they have like a website where it shows how everyone voted.
do they have those fancy tables with the yes no button push thing for their
Yeah,
votes?
yeah.
Then aren't those halls all recorded?
I think so. Yeah. So I think that's how they
Then you
can
can
tell. Yeah.
see where each button was pushed.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
those parts of the votes aren't anonymous.
Yeah.
Everyone can tell what
I
the
think
representative.
so. Yeah. Like I answered my question. Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, is there an audit trail, right? Can you go and take a look at how everyone voted? Is it actually from that position? All that. That's the part I'd like to see. How can you get to the real source of truth at the end?
So there's one more thing before we sign off. Last week, a lot of anime websites got shut down.
Yes, yes.
Um, the anime apocalypse, right? A lot of
Cataclysm.
yeah, a lot of stuff that was with booty, with pirates and the Shiver Me Timbers. And what's interesting is that all of the websites got shut down in a week, and all of the pirate websites were like, buy stuff legally. It's almost like someone had the gun to their head and was like, if you don't want us to sue, you shut down that shit and you tell people to buy legally.
Well, it's the fastest way to get a little bit of legal Teflon, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of websites that went down in the last, like, I'd say 2 weeks. Now, for the anime piracy / streaming ones, 3 of them that went down at the same time were basically all hosted on the same back end. They were just using different front ends to connect to it. So that's not, that's like they blew up one generator and 3 towns ran out of power kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not too surprising. But the fact is that a number of other types of sites also went down in the same week. They had, like, whoever was doing all of that domain seizing shit, they had real good week in the past. Like, their stats
Yeah,
went up.
because the thing is, like, I don't use any of those websites, but it was trending on Twitter. Like, everyone was talking about it. Everyone was panicking. They were calling it the anime apocalypse. And I was like, so what's going on? And apparently Japan, the Japanese government has vowed to crack down on piracy. And they're working together with many law firms and other companies. And the internet now in 2024 is not what the internet used to be in 2016.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, not when Aniplex and Crunchyroll are combining forces on both sides of the pond in order to make this happen. Yeah, they're stepping up their fight, but these things pop up faster than these guys can take it down. So I don't think it's eventually they're going to run out of interest like they did before.
Well, was nice having you. Thank you for being here. Hopefully, I will see you next week. And also, thank you, chat, for the super chats.